What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cam ATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you comment anything down in the comment section and enter your name into that $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. You guys know what time it is, man. It's time to go through, set a lineup together. First look lineup. Pretty much the deal is I'm going to go through, I'm going to set an entire lineup, talk about why I like these guys in this first look lineup, and then later on in the week, Friday morning, I will be posting a final look where we will go through after some of the injury reports and stuff come out, talk about every player that we like from every position, and we'll break it down a lot more. But this is just to get you started, first look lineup, all right? Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Greenlightdfs.com, week 10 was a banger. Week 11 is going to be even better. So let's get it. Starting off at quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and I'm not even going to waste time. All right. The dude's 7'7". His price is getting up there, but the dude has been doing incredible things. I mean, he's about to beat LaDainian Tomlinson's rushing record, and he's a quarterback. Okay, he's been absolutely dominating. He's at home in Baltimore going against a Houston defense that has been giving it up to quarterbacks. If Jacoby Brissett can get over 31 Draftkings points week 7, Matt Ryan can get 36 almost week 5, then Lamar Jackson is going to dominate them, okay? Brissett did all of his damage through the air. Lamar's going to give you a lot of production on the ground as well. So Houston's been one of the bottom teams in the league versus quarterbacks. I don't see how I end up getting off of this play here. He's at home in Baltimore. I mean, super solid play for Lamar Jackson, and he's easily able to get in here. We're going to talk about some cheapish value, some other places that makes it pretty easy. All right. Next up, we're not getting into the value just yet. Christian McCaffrey is a guy that I'm going to be making sure I play as much as humanly possible. Okay. He's going against an Atlanta squad that has struggled against pass catching backs. For years. We know that Atlanta's defense has been struggling big time. McCaffrey is the big workhorse for this team. Matter of fact, one of the the biggest workhorse in all of the NFL. This dude gets a ton of carries on the ground, gets a ton of targets in the pass game. So I absolutely love Christian McCaffrey in this matchup. He is going to destroy. And like I said, once again, like one thing when it comes to deciding if you want to pay up at positions, you have to first check and see if there's good value. And if there's solid value that you believe in and you like, that's interesting to you, then yeah, go ahead and pay up for your favorite guys, especially in cash. Go for that safety if you can. All right, next up, I absolutely love Josh Jacobs at home in Oakland going against the worst run D in the entire league in Cincinnati. They have been giving it up this season on the ground. They have been really, really struggling, and Oakland has one of the highest totals, if not the highest total on the entire slate this week. All right, and Josh Jacobs is going to be the one that does majority of the damage here in this matchup. Really, really love Jacobs here. I'm okay with even like if you, in GPPs, if you want to go down from Lamar, you want to get like Derek Carr and pair him up or something, like this Oakland offense should be able to tear Cincinnati up. So I really like it, but I'm leaning Lamar, obviously, and I'm leaning Jacobs as the way to go for Oakland. I think Jacobs is just going to control things on the ground. I think that's going to be Oakland's game plan. Just control the clock, get up, control the clock, run it with Jacobs a ton. All right. At wide receiver, a guy I really like is Deebo Samuel. This dude's been balling out, man. All right. The last 3 weeks he's been balling 13, 8, and 22. The thing that interests me is how many targets he got week 10 when Emmanuel Sanders got injured, which Emmanuel might be missing, which is even more of a plus. He got 12 targets against Seattle, 8 catches for 112 yards. He's been getting solid targets in this offense. And against Arizona, the matchup couldn't be any better against Byron Murphy. He's been giving it up. I really, really love Samuel here in this one, and he's only 4,000 in a very solid total for San Francisco against a fast-paced Arizona team. Definitely locking in Deebo Samuel, especially if Emmanuel Sanders ends up missing. We're going to see later on in the week. That's something we'll talk about in the final look when we know more about Emmanuel Sanders. But he couldn't come back to the last game. It's going to be tough to see him playing. I don't think he will. If I had to guess right now, I think Emmanuel's going to miss, and Deebo Samuel's going to be a beast. All right. Next up, another guy that I really like on this slate, man. There's a lot of solid mid-range cheap guys. DJ Moore has been dominating, okay? He's been getting a ton of targets ever since week 5. 8 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 11 targets. This dude is going to get you 10 targets against one of the worst secondaries in the entire league in a game that most likely will stay competitive because Atlanta has Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Okay, so I really love DJ Moore here in this one. I just can't see a reason to get off of him. The dude's getting a ton of targets. Like I said, it's one of the more juicy totals of the weekend, and he's getting you 10 targets against a horrible secondary. So DJ Moore's in an amazing position. On the other side of that game, this is the value guy I really like, Russell Gage. All right, Mohamed Sanu is now in New England. He's such a traitor, even though he didn't have much of a say-so in it. But, I mean, how are you going to go join the team that beat us in that Super Bowl like that? Embarrassed us. And you're just going to go join them. Like, you should have said you'll go to Miami or something, dude. Be a team player. But no, he goes to New England, the worst of all teams that he could have chosen. But, hey, nothing but love for Sanu. It is what it is. But Russell Gage is benefiting a ton because of this, okay? His targets are going to be pretty damn solid now with Mohamed Sanu out of Atlanta, and there's just targets to be had here, and I really like Gage at only 3.3. That's just too cheap for a guy who is going to be, undervalued by this defense. This defense is focused on stopping Julio Jones and Julio Jones alone. It's going to be Julio and Calvin they're going to be focused on. They're not going to be worried about a Russell Gage, okay, who just popped out of nowhere and before that was unknown. Okay, this dude got 9 targets in week 8. Expect something kind of around there. I see 6 or more targets in this, and he could possibly get in the end zone with them not paying much attention to him. I think Carolina can get a lead, and Russell Gage be able to get some garbage time and get some play. But I do think this game stays competitive, but I do think Atlanta will be behind slightly and be throwing a lot more than Carolina will be because Atlanta's without Devontae Freeman. So I really like Russell Gage in this one. Expect them to lean more heavily on the pass, a little bit more heavily on the pass than they were before, even though they weren't running really as much before anyways. All right. Speaking of that, while I have that in my mind, Brian Hill's one of the best values of the slate. He's only 4.8, and here's the thing. He's going to get involved in the pass game and on the ground for Atlanta. Anytime they run, it's going to be Brian Hill. Anytime they throw to a back, it's going to be Brian Hill. Ito is hurt, and Devontae Freeman will be missing. They are severely weakened at the running back position. So Brian Hill is going to get a ton of run for Atlanta in this one. And it's a solid matchup against Carolina, who's been bleeding points to running backs so far this season. So he got a nice little 20 carries against New Orleans last week in week 10. I really love this dude. I think he's damn near a lock at 4.8 against the Carolina D that's been struggling against the run, especially the last 2 weeks. Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones annihilated them. Okay? So I really like Brian Hill, and that price is just too low. All right, next up, we have Ryan Griffin. All right, Ryan Griffin is really interesting here because Chris Herndon was diagnosed on Monday with a fractured rib, which means he will not be playing, okay? Now, I absolutely love this situation for Ryan Griffin. He's only 2.9. He's good value here. He was playing on 84% on average, 84% of the snaps when Herndon was out. Now that Herndon is back out, I really love Ryan Griffin here, man. He's got the upside like he did against Jacksonville week 8 for 24. He was doing pretty okay. He had 11-1, 24-11 before Herndon came back. So those are some pretty solid numbers. At only 2.9 against Washington, I'm not worried at all about that defense. I really love the situation here for Griffin with Herndon out. He's going to be on the field for a ton of plays and should fall into value at 2.9. All right. Last but not least, for defense, we've got 4,000 remaining, so I'm going to go with my boys, the 49ers, at home in San Francisco. They just lost to Seattle. So I expect them to come back heated here at home in San Francisco, going against an Arizona team that's one of the faster-paced teams of the league, which means they run more plays than most teams, which means there's more opportunities for interceptions, fumbles, sacks. And Arizona gives up a ton of sacks, and San Francisco can really get to the quarterback. Okay, so I really like them. I think Bosa is going to really hound Kyler Murray. I really like the 49ers D here at 4,000 just because, I mean, I have the money. Arizona's got one of the lower totals in the entire slate. 49ers are big favorites here. And at home in San Francisco, I think they're really going to do well here. Defensively, they've been really, really solid this year, kind of like the Patriots. They've been super consistent. And I really think they're going to have a good game here. They did face Arizona in Arizona week 9 and struggled. But I think they revenge themselves here at home in San Francisco and have a really solid outing here. I mean, let me just read you their points for this year real quick. 27, 7, 7, 19, 10, 15, 17, 3, and 19. These dudes are going to get you like 15 here in this matchup going against Arizona once again. I really love it, and I'm locking them in. And that's it for the first look, y'all. Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Deebo Samuel, especially if Emmanuel's out, DJ Moore, Russell Gage, Ryan Griffin, Brian Hill, and 49ers D is the first look lineup. Later on in the week, make sure you come back to the channel. Later on in the week, I will do the full slate breakdown after some new news comes out and stuff like that. We'll get a more fresh look and up-to-date look later on in the week. This is just to get you started. And let's get it, man. I'm super excited. This first look is actually super sick. I mean, we got some real playmakers in this. Jacobs, McCaffrey, and Jackson are some of my favorite plays on the entire slate. And there's some really solid value with Brian Hill, Ryan Griffin, and Russell Gage is very interesting. And if Emmanuel Sanders misses, Deebo Samuel is going to be a monster. He's going to be played a lot against Arizona, especially if Emmanuel misses. So this lineup's looking sexy, man. Let's go ahead and get this money. Greenlightdfs.com. Join the squad for week 11, man. Let's dominate like we did week 10. And I'm out.